Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage from my time with the SVU-AS. And as per usual, I should be taking your questions from the weapon guide video on my main Xbox Ahoy channel, and also the quick draw attachment guide video as well. So, wasting no time, on with the first question. Kaz Voten says, Stu, what do you think of Windows 8? The simple answer is not much. I haven't actually used it. I'm currently on Windows 7 and I plan to stay with Windows 7 until I get a new PC. And even then, I don't know. I generally avoid the even-numbered Windows. Since ME and, well, even Windows 98. It's been every other Windows that's been the good one. So yeah, for now, Windows 7 will do me just fine. Sergio WS says, Stu, did you play Black Ops 2 campaign? If yes, what is your opinion? I have played the campaign, yes. I've given it one playthrough, just on regular difficulty. And it's better than the Black Ops 1 campaign. I liked it. It was enjoyable enough. It was, you know, just another action film posing as a video game. That's all Call of Duty really is. I think I do generally prefer the Modern Warfare campaigns, although some of the elements added to Black Ops 2 do add to replayability. Having said that, I haven't replayed it, so obviously maybe not that much replayability. But otherwise, yeah, it's fine. Kind of, I don't know. I find like the variable ending slightly unsatisfactory. I get this nagging feeling that I could have done better. I don't think I got the best ending. I don't know what ending I got. I got a ending. That was good enough for me. Ben Atkins Chafer says, Stu, as a Brit, more specifically a Northerner, you must like Indian food. What's your curry of choice? Well, as it happens, I am rather fond of a curry. What's my favourite curry? Ooh. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that I've had my fair share of spicy offerings. I have enjoyed more than one or two vindaloos in my time. I do like the spicy ones. But my favourite curry is probably going to be something a little bit nuttier, a little bit creamier. I like the rich, creamy curries, and I've got to say, a good korma is tough to beat. I guess I'm quite fortunate to live in Manchester because we actually have quite a few curry houses here. In fact, we have one portion of an area called Rusholme has... it's quite famous. It's called the Curry Mile. It's actually about maybe more of a half-mile stretch of road with curry houses on both sides. There's all sorts. There must be 100+ establishments. Of course, curry houses and then takeaways and shisha cafes as well. All sorts of stuff like that, and it's wonderful. Nice to go there for a meal out. Anyway. Legoman791 says, what's your favourite weapon in MW1, MW2, and MW3? I'm sure I've answered this before, so I'll gloss over it. Modern Warfare, favourite weapon, probably the silenced P90. Not for any statistical reason, just because I used it quite a lot and I quite liked it. Modern Warfare 2, I liked the AUGH bar, probably with FMJ or, yeah, FMJ I think normally. And also the TAR-21, that was another favourite of mine. Either with the Mars sight or again FMJ. Finally, MW3, I liked the G36C with the red dot sight. That thing was, it was a nice handling weapon, I liked that one. The fast recenter speed was a pretty nice feature of that. So there you go, I'm not saying those are the best weapons in any of those titles, but they are amongst my favourites. Chozoman22 says, hey Stuart, it's been a month since BO2 came out. Do you still recommend us casual gamers to pick it up? Or are you already getting bored with it? Well, of course I can't speak for everybody, but I'm still enjoying it. I mean, the prospect of doing a weapon a week for the next, 35 weeks or so, however many are left, doesn't particularly faze me. In fact, I'm quite looking forward to slowly working my way through all of the guns. So yeah, for me, there's definitely a large amount of longevity. And I've got to say, for a $60 or £40 investment, you do get a lot of value. I mean, yeah, you get the multiplayer, of course, which is probably worth the price of admission alone. But then you also get the campaign, which, as I mentioned, is pretty good. It's like better than Black Ops' campaign. Comparable to maybe MW2, MW3. And of course, on top of that, the icing on the cake, you get the zombies. I'm not sure if zombies holds up to some of the other maps in Black Ops the first. But I expect DLC will probably add more content there, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, for the price tag, it's a pretty solid offering, and like I say, the multiplayer is enough to hold my attention. And I dare say I probably will get my money's worth over the next few months. And if you can, you know, if you can stomach Call of Duty's multiplayer, then even just a little bit, then you probably will enjoy it too. Jedi Knight 313 says, "This is a top priority must answer before the not so end of the world question. Which Final Fantasy titles have you played? P.S. How's Ted doing?" Final Fantasy. I have played Final Fantasy 8. I think that might be it. Yeah, I played 8 on the PS1, and I want to say I completed it, but I can't remember. It was a while ago now. But I sunk a lot of hours into it anyway, that's for sure. But that's the only game I played of the series. I'm not a huge fan of JRPGs. They're okay once I get into them, but the grinding and the long character expositions, they just turn me off. As for Ted, Ted is alive and well. He's doing pretty well after his surgery. We're coming up to the year anniversary of his well, the incident which caused him to lose the use of his back hips. Just to recap, one day we found him, he was in the garden and he was in pain. This was, I think it was on Boxing Day last year. So we took him to the vets, same day, got him an emergency appointment and had him looked at. There was no external sign of injury, so we weren't sure what was causing it. And it wasn't until about a week and a half later when we finally got x-rays done, where we discovered that his hip bones had actually broken, both of them. What actually happened was, it was, I think it's a genetic defect, something wrong in his genes that caused, or maybe a developmental thing where his hip bones weren't having, they didn't have a sufficient blood supply to the actual, the ball and socket part, and so the bone died, which eventually, you know, it crumbled to dust and then eventually broke, leaving him with, you know, two non-functioning hip joints, and he was in a lot of pain as well. So eventually we had to get him surgery. We got they call it a bilateral femoral head ossectomy, which is basically just fancy talk for removing the tip of the leg bone, the femur. And because cats are relatively small animals, what actually happens then is it forms an artificial flat joint, which they can still walk on, they can still operate just fine. Because they're, you know, they're only small. On dogs and stuff, you have to get stuff like hip replacement. You have to actually construct a new joint. But with cats, they're a little bit smaller. They're only, you know, a few kilos, so they can get by on just the muscle tension holding the joint together. So that's what we opted for, because it's a simpler one. And the poor thing, his back end was all shaved and he looked very pathetic. But all of the fur's grown back now, and while he'll never be as mobile as, like, you know, his brother, for instance, or a normal cat, he can still get around. He can jump and stuff. He can get onto the sofa, at the very least, and he can climb stairs. So he can function perfectly fine as a cat. And yeah, he's fine. He's doing okay. The surgeries pose no problems for him, and he's functioning perfectly well. He has become a bit of a patient, though. He's I think we rather spoiled him when he was immobile. We sort of gave him everything he wanted, you know, looked after him and all that. And now he's sort of come to expect it. So he's become a lot more vocal. When he wants something, he meows in a really obnoxious way. It's almost like a baby's cry. You can't ignore it. I shall have to make a video about the cats. I shall have to feature them, get some footage of them, because I know some of you would like to see that. Maybe I'll do something like that for April Fool's Day. We'll see, hey? Moving Target 85 says, "Stu, I must ask you, Guinness? Guinness? Or Guinness?" Do you know, it's funny, I've been getting into Guinness recently. I've been on kind of a bit of a stout kick. I've been enjoying the darker beers. And while I will quickly add that Guinness is it's far from my favourite stout or porter, it is probably the best commercial. It's the best stout I can buy in my local supermarket, which counts for something. It's also relatively inexpensive, you know, it works out less than £1 a can, I think, or about £1 a can. With regards to the question, I mean, there are different types of Guinness, I suppose. I mean, you've got, what, Guinness Original, Guinness Draft, and Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. Of those three, I think, I don't know. I can drink them all, you know, they're all good. But I think Guinness Draft, with its widget and its nitro foam, I think that's probably my preferred Guinness. Guinness Original is a pretty mediocre carbonated stout, whereas Guinness Draft has the widget, it has the unique sort of nitro head, and the unique nitrogen bubbles give it that kind of unique creamy mouthfeel, which is part of the appeal of Guinness, I dare say. So anyway, to answer your question, Guinness. Low Power Troop says, "Hey Stu, have you ever liked any Asian food / dishes?" Of course. Yes, of course. Yes, I do like Asian food in general. Specific examples. There's a place in the town where I live in Manchester that it's primarily a Vietnamese place. I'm not sure how authentic it is, but they do a pretty mean pho. I think they also do some Thai dishes. Apparently their pad Thai is pretty authentic. I like, I think I prefer the pho to the pad Thai. I'm not a big fan of the seafood aspect of that. There's a place in Fallowfield, Manchester, which is kind of the student district of Manchester, called Fusion. And it's kind of a pan-Asian noodle bar, but it's the food's good and the portions are very generous, and the whole sort of vibe behind the place is cool. And they do some, I like the Malaysian dishes they do. They do a laksa, which is very nice. It's a slightly creamy sauce with star anise, and it's good eating. Another place I like in Manchester is in the city centre. It's quite. I think it's been there for ages now. It's a family-owned Korean restaurant. That is to say, good Korea, not bad Korea. It's called Koreana. I've only been there the once, and I'd really like to go again because it was fantastic. I can't remember what I had. I think I might have had bulgogi. Anyway, that was good. So yes, I do like Asian food. I mean, I'm not huge on seafood, especially shellfish. I'm always iffy on shellfish. But well, thankfully, Asian food is very diverse and has a lot to offer. So yeah, absolutely. Mon Anniversaire says, "Merry earlier Christmas, Stu. What did you get for your girlfriend / loved ones?" Family gifts. Oh, good. I'll probably get something last minute. As for the girlfriend, I bought her one of those fancy new Retina screen iPad thingies. Also, I got her the Game of Thrones Blu-ray Season 1 special box set thingy. A good set of presents, if I do say so myself. I'm sure she'll be happy with that. Christian Remes says, "Hello, Stuart. I was wondering if you have heard about the country of Sweden. If you have, what do you think about it?" These sort of questions are always funny to me. Have I heard of Sweden? Of course I've heard of Sweden. I have heard of most of the countries of the world, apart from maybe some really tiny ones. I think if the country existed in 1989, then I probably know about it. If it was created since then, it might have slipped through my net of country knowledge. Why 1989, Stu? I had a book. It was my fact finder book that I had as a kid, and I basically memorized this entire book, and it had all the flags of the world and all of the countries and all this stuff like that, and I could basically, anything in there I could tell you. As far as Sweden is concerned, it sounds like a nice place. I'd like to visit. In fact, I'd like to visit most of the Scandinavian countries, most of the Nordic countries, come to think of it. I think generally speaking, the Scandinavians, even the Nordics and the UK, we have some cultural parallels, largely on account of the Viking invasions, especially in the north of England. We have a lot of Viking influence. We have a lot of your genes came across on these Viking longboats. But yeah, I think we have some sort of shared cultural traits. I think beer brewing is generally pretty good in the Nordic countries, and I find it very hard to hate a country that makes a good beer. Having said that, I haven't had a huge amount of Swedish beer. I've had a couple, I think. But I'm sure there must be some decent Swedish beer. I just haven't found it yet. I've had some good Norwegian beer, and I love Danish beer as well. Principally Mikkeller stuff. I mean, like I say, their export lagers aren't spectacular. But yeah, no, Sweden and much of Scandinavia is on my short list of places I could possibly emigrate to and live and stuff. It's fortunate that, well, I'm not really bothered by bad weather. The cold. I quite like the cold, in fact. I prefer it. As for the food, I like lingonberries, it turns out. Meatballs are cool. Lutefisk, no thank you. I shall pass on that one. Bankezita says, Stu, why do you think BO2 didn't sell as good as BO1 or MW3? And could you please say Guten Tag in Dutch? I'm not sure if I said that right. Actually, G's in Dutch are always weird. It's probably Hodentag or something weird like that. Or maybe that's just the G in Van Gogh and Grols. I don't know. Anyway, Call of Duty sales. Yes, BO2's initial sales were not as strong as Black Ops 1 or MW3. As far as launch week sales are concerned, this is the first Call of Duty that has not sold more than its predecessor. Which, well, what does it all mean? Could it mean, the slow decline of the Call of Duty series? Could this be, could it be the beginning of the end? The answer is, yes, it could be the beginning of the end, yes. But regardless, Black Ops 2 still sold an awful lot. And I have a feeling it'll probably, I don't know, I think the sustained sales will probably be better than MW3, at the very least. I think Black Ops 2 has more staying power. So it will be interesting to see what sort of the post-Christmas sales of the game are like. But I don't know, I mean, eventually, yes, Call of Duty will come to an end. It's as simple as that. But I think it is a fairly safe bet that we're going to see at least a couple more titles. I mean, they're going to do another one next year, they are. And then, of course, the year after that we'll be looking at a new console. And of course they'll go for a launch title. Really, launch titles and the first few games on the new console are going to be the chance to establish dominance yet again. So, yeah, I dare say we've got a couple more Call of Duties in the works, but whether they'll be as popular, it's who can say? Who can say? I think the next gen will definitely shake things up. That'll open up the doors to 60 frames per second for pretty much any sort of other developer, really. But time will tell. Gotta stay flexible. Obviously for me, this is kind of important for my job, really. I've got to keep on track of these things, but yeah, we'll play it by ear. Like everything. Because I can't possibly predict the future. Alpha Core says, Stu, did you think it was a wise idea for Black Ops 2 to weaken the strength of the assault rifles? Well, I've got to say, I think the assault rifles always have been, traditionally, as a category, they've been overpowered. Or if not overpowered, certainly the easiest class of weapons to use. I mean, they're the most versatile of all the weapons, so it stands to reason that they would be amongst the easiest to use. And automatic weapons always tend to be easier to use than non-automatic or, single shot, bolt action, pump action, that sort of thing. Which is why SMGs as well always do pretty well. But yeah, in Black Ops 2, we have a further division in close-range gunfights. It used to be the assault rifles could hang much better with SMGs. That's no longer the case in Black Ops 2. The SMGs have a distinct advantage in close-range gunfights. Which is much to the chagrin of some. The plague of SMGs, the dominance of hip firing and stuff like that. To a point, yes, but at middle range you would be much better off with an assault rifle. Some of them are pretty well received. I think the AN-94 seems to be quite a lot of people's favourite. It's kind of, I think the AN-94 it's similar to the MTAR, kind of in the middle damage-wise. But I don't know, I think the AN-94 has a couple of traits that sets it aside. Other than that, the M8A1, that seems to be pretty well received as well by the pro player. I think simply for its accuracy. The M8A1 is really effective at middle range out to a fairly long range. So that makes it a pretty strong choice. And really it is middle range where the assault rifles now shine. I personally quite like the M27. Just because it's kind of the ACR, but it's had a bit of a damage nerf. So yeah, with the assault rifles you probably have to play a lot more conservative than you have done in the past. You've got to keep people, at an arm's reach. You've got to use cover, effectively. You can't just rush in. You can get away with some of the assault rifles in an aggressive role, especially if you start using stuff like quick draw, and even the laser sight. The Type 25 with its rate of fire is pretty good up close. The MTAR is it's underrated as the MTAR. It has a 3-hit kill. It's an early unlock, and it's a nice consistent weapon to use. It really is. As to, are assault rifles underpowered? I don't think they are. I think they are still pretty versatile and they are pretty effective, just not as effective as they have been in past games. Now, in theory, this opens up more... it should increase the diversity we see in weapon classes. In actual fact, what's happened is people are just using SMGs. It's, well, you know, it's just the fact that people like automatic weapons, and they like automatic weapons that can fare well at close range. I don't think the SMGs are egregiously overpowered, I just think they're the easiest weapons to use at the minute. So, that's what everybody goes for. Communist Grunt says, "Hi Stu, fellow Brit here. What are your political views at the minute? Labour, Conservative, or even something else?" I tend to vote third party most often. I am not a big fan of the, you know, kind of two-party duopoly that you see in politics, both in the UK and the US. So, on principle, I refuse to vote for either Labour or the Conservatives. This is aided in part by the fact that I don't really mind if the opposing party gets in. I don't mind if Labour are in power. I don't really mind if the Tories are in power. Of the two, I would prefer Labour. But on the principle, I refuse to, you know, indulge in any sort of tactical voting to keep the Tories out, because I don't care that much, so I vote third party. Precisely who depends on who's running. I like voting for independents. Not because I think they're going to get into power or anything like that. No, just because you're going to make someone's day by giving them that one extra vote. Instead of getting like 11 votes, they've got 12, and they're like, through the roof, 12 votes, it's a record! Other than that, sometimes I vote Green, just because, I don't know, I don't really agree with everything they say. I certainly don't agree with their policy on nuclear power. I think they're pretty much against it. And I'm quite pro-nuclear. Anyway, politics are boring. Let's move on. Okay, Joe Basilio says, "Hello, Mr. Ahoy. My question may sound weird, but bear with me. I have 2 cats. One I've had for 7 years, and the other I got 4 months ago. My 7-year-old recently fell with a near-fatal illness, and the vet says that it's because of the other cat. They usually fight, yeah, but I never thought my older one was so upset about the other one moving in. Anyway, my question is, did the same type of issue happen when you got your cats? I know you're not a vet, but I just wanted a fresh perspective." Oh my, that's terrible. I don't think I've heard of anything like that. I mean, obviously, if you introduce a new cat into a household, they don't always get along. I think eventually sort of these spats can be sort of worked out to a minimum. But as far as our 2 cats, we've never really had any major problems. Principally because our 2 cats are actually brothers. They're from the same litter, so obviously they grew up together and they've spent pretty much every single moment of their life together. So, while they do fight, they are both boys. They do have a bit of a scrap now and again. It's all in good spirit. And I think, as far as 2 male cats are concerned, Bill and Ted, they do have a remarkably good relationship. They give each other space most of the time. You know, one sleeps upstairs, one sleeps downstairs. But every once in a while, I see them. They have a bit of a hug. It's cute, really. But as far as unrelated cats are concerned, I honestly, I don't know. I don't really have much in the way of advice for you, because I say it's not really something I've dealt with. I'm considering getting a 3rd cat, but I think given the fact that our existing 2 cats have a strong relationship, it might be difficult to introduce the 3rd element, especially if it's a young kitten. Probably the best thing to do in that situation would be to sort of have some means of giving the new cat some space. You know, actually sort of isolating them, or, you know, not like quarantine levels, just giving them somewhere to retreat to that, you know, the other cats maybe don't go or won't go. But I suppose eventually cats will get used to each other and form an uneasy alliance. Eventually. Vivster28 says, "Stew, sweet or salty popcorn?" I would probably go with lightly salted. Although I do have a bit of a soft spot for the toffee variety. Kiskalak says, hello Stu, I'm wondering if you have ever used a Mac, or were you using Linux at all? I do have a fair amount of experience with Macs. My mother had a Macintosh back in the 90s. I think she had a Performer around about 1996 that I used quite a lot. Played Marathon on that. That was good fun. I used Macintoshes extensively during my design degree. That was the platform of choice for design back then. Probably still is, I don't know. And more recently, my girlfriend has a MacBook Pro. She favours Mac OS for some reason. Me, I'm on Windows 7 at the minute. I have had Linux boxes in the past. I've never really used it as a primary desktop OS, but I've set up, like, you know, file servers, web servers, that sort of thing, on my secondary PCs. And I've had a bit of professional experience with Linux. The Master of the Fist talking about the quick draw video, saying, Stu, you dirty liar, this wasn't boring at all. Oh, it was pretty boring. I mean, quick draw video is basically just makes you aim faster, doesn't it? Heck, even the pun was a little bit lacking, you know, 2 out of 10 at best. I mean, the reflex sight video, that was good. I reckon the optical attachments, they make for much more interesting videos. I'm going to do the holographic sight at some point. I think I said, yeah, well, the laser sight's the next attachment, but I think I might do the holographic sight after that. And that'll be a good one, because the reticles, at least, they make it easier to make jokes, you know? So, yeah, the optical attachment videos, they're good. But the other ones, I'm going to do them, don't get me wrong. But I don't know, they're a little bit dull. I think with the laser sight, I can come up with a better pun, at least. Zero Mr. Shaw says, after you finish the attachment guides, do equipment. It is a possibility. I'm not going to make any promises now, but I mean, this is a decision I'll be making once I approach the end of the current run of episodes I plan on doing. Obviously, weapons are the priority. Attachments will go in between the gaps, and then when I run out of when I run out of those, I'll make a decision as to what to do next. Outer Strain says, hi, have you played Sharpshooter yet in Black Ops 2? Yes, I have, yes. I actually quite enjoy it. It's good fun. I was mooting doing some, like, live commentary sessions, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll come to fruition. I'll see. I might record something, and if it's any good, I might post it on here, just as, you know, like an extra video. Maybe I could do one a week if it takes off. I don't know. My time is limited at the moment anyway. I mean, doing 2 videos a week for the main channel. Oof. Okay, Scubby's Rule says, do you think your channel has peaked, Stu? Not in creative or content sense, but in terms of viewership. Well, there is a time for ascension, and there is a time for recession. And whilst the end of 3 season was a little bit stagnant, for the simple reason that I couldn't really do juicy MW3 content, despite that, my channel is now in ascension. You know, I'm back in black, so to speak. And no, subscriber acquisition has been healthy, and I'm pretty confident that the Black Ops 2 series will gain comfortable momentum. I'm happy enough anyway. My peak views were in November 2011, for the 11 days that my MW3 videos were active. At the current rate of growth, I should beat that monthly record January, February. We'll see. Anyway, that concludes this rather lengthy episode of this bonus footage. I shall see you on Friday at about 4 PM GMT for the Remington 870 guide. The very first shotgun should be pretty good. And then on Sunday, assuming I get time to finish it, you'll see the laser sight guide. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and until next time, farewell.